Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Sports Insight with your host, Alamdar Khan. And yes, as you know, we will definitely be providing you all the best information that we can get with regards to sports from all across the globe. You can surely reach out to us on our social media handle, which is at the rate of Indus News Sports, and that would be both for Twitter and Instagram. But anyways, we'll go to the headlines first. Yes, from the world of PSL, Peshawar Zalmi actually managed to chase Multan Sultan by grabbing a victory by 6 wickets. And from the world of NBA, Stephen Curry scores 37 and leads the Warriors over the win against the Knicks. And yes, from the world of golf, Tiger Woods, the king of golf, actually managed to have a very bad accident in California. We'll surely be talking about that. And yes, those were the headlines with regards to PSL. Not only PSL, we've talked about NBA and we've definitely talked about Tiger Woods' situation. But we surely go on to the first segment, which is definitely discussing about PSL. And yes, the fifth match took place and it was a very interesting match when Multan Sultan managed to get themselves 193 for 4. But not to forget that the chase that Peshawar Zalmi did yesterday was pretty intense, pretty aggressive. And this is the first time that, most of the teams that have actually been playing T20s and obviously this entire PSL, the chasers always manage to win the game. But not to forget that, to discuss the entire match and how, Multan Sultan was trying to control their situation with the bowling at the end, but eventually came up to a point of a brilliant performance by Peshawar Zalmi. Not to forget that Peshawar Zalmi actually had some interesting additions, some interesting super hits that actually took place, specifically when it comes to Haider Ali and Shoaib Malik, putting an end to the entire situation and making sure that Peshawar Zalmi wins. Anyways, to discuss this, we have former cricketer Mohammad Tahir Khan with us. Tahir, thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me in your show.
Awesome. So, Tahir, I'll surely be talking about, firstly, obviously, congratulating the PSL going so far so good, even though the coronavirus situation is on. Let's talk about Peshawar Zalmi versus Multan Sultan. How did you find the entire match and, looking into how they performed in a beautiful way? That would be an interesting thing.
Exactly the way they start Peshawar Zalmi, they need their victory about the thing because the both team yesterday they played, they didn't get that start that they wanted to be start in the PSL 6. But the way the cricket played yesterday, they was really nice. According to the situations, they played under pressure innings.
Right.
And if you just see about the captaincy, they all are right on the spot. But there is many mistakes from the bowlers, from the batsmen, and from the captaincy. We can discuss in our upcoming time.
Right. But looking at how Multan Sultan, looking at a score of 193 for 4. 193 for 4 is definitely not a bad score. But then chasing 193 and coming up to a point on winning against that score, how do you see that chase? Because I think Multan Sultan was doing perfectly fine, even with regards to the scoring and how they bat. And not only forget, even their bowling side, it was pretty intense. But what kind of made Peshawar Zalmi made that comeback and chase that higher number of score?
If we talk about the Multan Sultan score, they scored 194 runs. That's the highest score in this PSL 6 so far. So good.
Right.
But the way the Peshawar Zalmi bowled, they didn't write on the spots where they wanted to bowl from the bowlers.
Right.
About start from the Wahab Riaz,
right.
like 3 overs, 40 runs. There was so many expensive. If the
right.
captains doing like that, the rest of the bowlers they'll probably be getting down. But the way the Multan Sultan played, I'm just talking about the partnership, the way they built the partnership about James Wins, excellent partnership. The way he show how to build the innings from the under pressure, but to get a proper start, and you need to be finished with that the strongest note. The 194 is the highest score and a big score on this type of format.
Right.
But the way Peshawar Zalmi starts about Kaman Akmal and the way he carried out. But I'm saying about the one mistake that Rizwan take out, that when the fifth overs come, the Shahid Afridi, he introduced the Shahid Afridi in the circle. That's the major mistake, what I believe. Because in the circle, if you come in the circle in front of the Kaman Akmal, who is extremely formed like
Right.
last 3 or 4 PSLs, not from the previous matches, but
Right.
the way he carried out the batting. That's the main platform they need about the victory or and that chase the highest one.
Well, exactly what you're saying with regards to giving that over to Shahid Afridi. Ended up, Kamran Akmal was by then, in his peak, at his peak, he was ready, because when it comes to him fixing himself up, he's always there ready to place those big shots that he actually did. And not to forget that even then they offered and they continued giving Shahid Afridi another over, which definitely came up to a point of building Peshawar Zalmi's confidence level up. Because when I started watching the match, when I was looking into their performance, it was kind of slow. But as soon as Shahid Afridi came and he bowled, obviously fielders being in the circle, I think that really, really costed them a lot.
Exactly, because the spinners they can change the match easily.
Right.
If you see like Usman Qadir, they put him inside yesterday,
Right.
and that's the major difference about the Usman Qadir's bowling
Right.
and Shahid Afridi's bowling.
Right.
Usman Qadir have a variance. He can bowl googly, he can bowl flippers, he can bowl toss up in the air, can slow the ball. So
Right.
because the bowlers who have variations as a spinner in this T20 format, he'll get a success from anywhere, any in front of the batsman. You can see the clearly indications when the Kamran Akmal facing him,
Right.
and he confused about the googly, and
Right.
then that googly that like create the momentum which Multan Sultan needed. But if you see about the partnership of the Shoaib Malik and the Haider Ali,
Right.
that's extraordinary.
Right.
The senior and the experience. If you have experience, you can take out the match from anywhere.
Right. And realistically, Haider Ali, the way he performed, to be very honest, it kind of gave me those goosebumps, because, scoring 24 within just 8 balls. And, his eyes were totally focused on when he was, when it comes to the straight drive that he plays, he's so confident. If you remember, there was even one that actually hit the bails, hit the wickets, because of which it was a definite 4 runs. So Haider Ali was totally focused, and obviously him having that combination, as you've discussed, when it comes to a senior and a junior, merging in together to ensure that they want to win. I think it was a fabulous performance.
Exactly, extraordinary. Because being a youngster, if you finish the match like this, and what you believe that you can do it, and that the senior player standing in front of you, and he came to you and he said, "You can do it. Just wait for the right ball, and it's come in your zone." Because if you say the bowler Shahnawaz Dhani, he didn't get an experience about in this type of a format.
Right.
That's the main reason. That's why they lost the game.
Right.
But credit goes to Multan Sultan, Haider Ali, Shoaib Malik. The way they played, that's the main changer of the game.
Well, you talk about Dhani. Honestly telling you, I think he's a phenomenal bowler. The way he bowled, the way he was, trying to put in those Yorks, the way he was changing pace, the way he was instantaneously moving the ball from one place to another, which was a definite variation. When he managed to take out Kohler, who was like on fire and who was absolutely ready. Bob, before this, I think Kohler did hit a 6 before he got out. How do you see? I still think, obviously, Shahnawaz Dhani is just the beginning of this young talent's career, but it definitely would have put him in a lot of pressure. What do you think about that?
Exactly, absolutely right. Because Shahnawaz Dhani it's his first PSL appearance from the Multan Sultan, and I credit those to Multan Sultan because he picked them in an emerging category.
Right.
If you just slightly go in his like background, he's from a village, from the Larkana village, and
Yeah.
his father is a farmer, and
Right.
he don't have a cricket ground over there.
Right.
He doing help with his father over there, and because I talked to him many times.
Right.
And yesterday when the match over, and I talked to him, and he said that because of the 2 balls we lost the game. I said no, that's the learning process you start, because
Right.
you know the conditions about that the situation of the match. How can you put it on? Because the before of the over, in last 3 overs you did perfectly well, and you got
Right.
a 2 wickets in a 1 over. That's the
Right.
change the game. But
Right.
sometimes like 1 or 2 balls you be a slightly over aggressive.
Right.
That comes to in the cost of your weight.
And I think it basically had both of them were on fire. Not only obviously the Multan Sultans, but definitely Peshawar Zalmi wanted this to end, wanted this. Haider Ali, when facing him, Haider Ali just had victory in his eyes, and he said that no matter what, the consistency that he actually managed to put in. Obviously, Dhani himself, like you said, and you spoke to him, obviously, these young generations, these young bowlers, these young talents would definitely need awareness, feedback from cricketers like you that could actually make them even grow. Because, like you said, it's a learning phase for him.
Exactly. Exactly, absolutely right. Because it's just a start of his beginning of his it's a new career of a cricket. He's
Right.
just a 22-year-old boy, and I was happy when I saw his celebration style, like
Right.
the way he celebrated the wicket. That
Right.
looked like he's very happy. He's
Right.
very passionate. He's energetic, and he wants to do something for his team.
Right.
That's the requirement we need from the youngsters.
Right, right. Anyways, thank you so very much, Tahir, for being with us on the show and discussing PSL's perspective. And we'll surely have you again and your perspective with regards to upcoming matches. Anyways, guys, we'll surely get back from the break. And once we're back from the break, we'll have more to come. See you guys after the break. And welcome back after the break. Yes, we are surely going to talk about the world of NBA as discussed in the headlines. Yes, Stephen Curry actually managed to score 37, obviously leading the Warriors over Knicks by 114 to 106. But to discuss more on the in-depth analysis of the NBA world, we have with us our correspondent Bilal Abid, an NBA expert. Bilal, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Alamdar.
Pleasure, pleasure. All right, Bilal, we'll start with the first thing that is to be discussed, that the match that took obviously managed Stephen Curry to make that win for the Warriors over Knicks, 114 plus, over 106. How do you see that match? Obviously, Stephen Curry scoring 37.
Well, last night's game was the mark game was between Knicks and the Warriors, and I think it was really a battle of the guards as best as I could put. In the game, Warriors defeated the Knicks 114 to 106.
Right.
Steph Curry, who has really been carrying the Warriors on his back all season,
Right.
really played lights out with the game, with 37 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists also. Now this new kid, Kelly Oubre Jr. had 19 points and 8 rebounds to go along with those 3 blocks on the court.
Right.
So for the Knicks, Julius Randle, who just got his first nod for the AllStar team, had a near triple-double with 25 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. And Payton contributed with 20 points.
Right.
Now, the Knicks have been doing good lately. I think what Warriors is a team who will not lose back-to-back.
Right.
They find a grind, come back to the floor, nice and strong, and that's just the way they operate.
Right.
One thing that I do want to mention, Alamdar, is we're seeing Derrick Rose, my boy, on the sidelines, one of my favorites of all time.
Right.
Now he's back to the promised land, the youngest ever MVP in the history of the game. He's been struggling with injuries, is now making a raw, fresh comeback, and the boys look good.
Right. Not only this, I would want you to give us more insight and in-depth. Obviously, this game definitely did happen, but as the reserves of All-Stars have been announced, I'd rather want to talk more about how the All-Star team lineup is looking like. How do you see it happening? Obviously, it's all going to link up for the March 7th, so how do you see it shaping up?
So that has Twitter on fire since yesterday. Really, a bunch of people snubbed, a bunch of very deserving, folks who should have been there didn't make it. But I think overall, after much controversy and debate, the NBA and the Players Association finally agreed to have the 2021 NBA All-Star Game, which will take on Sunday.
Right.
It will take place on Sunday, March 7th at the State Farm Arena inside of Georgia. Right. So most important is that despite of all the adversity of what was going on around throughout the last year, things are happening. Now, to answer your question, the NBA All-Star Game starters who led their respective conferences in fan votes during NBA All-Star Game voting. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, they will serve as team captains for Team LeBron versus Team Durant matchup.
Right.
And draft the rosters from the pool players voted as starters and reserves in each conference.
Right.
TNT will air the 2021 NBA All-Star Draft on Thursday, March 4th at 8 p.m. Central. Now, when we kind of talk about the starters, you have 3 front court players, and then you have 2 guards
right.
in each of the 2 teams. Along with on the west side, along with LeBron on the front court, and as the captain, you
Right.
have Warriors. Very expected into the Nuggets. Warriors guard Steph Curry, Mavs Luka Doncic guard. You have Nuggets Nikola Jokic. Extremely expected, extremely exciting kid to watch at the front court, and then again LA Clippers guy Kawhi Leonard. You in the front court also. You will not go wrong with Kawhi Leonard. I mean, this guy just took the Raptors to the first ever championship. Nobody would ever forget that.
Right.
In the Eastern Conference, Alamdar, so Kevin Durant will lead the team as well as the front court, and is joined by a starting pool by my homeboy from Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo, running the front court.
Right.
Washington Wizards, Bradley Beal, very exciting kid, very exciting point guard, leading the league currently with 32 points a game. Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid, also running the front court. And then last but not the least, and starters from the east side, Kyrie Irving as the guard. I do want to mention, this is a record in the history of the game that a record 5 international players have been voted NBA All-Star starters. Giannis Antetokounmpo from Greece, Luka Doncic, Slovenia, Joel Embiid from Cameroon, Kyrie Irving, Australia, and then Jokic, Serbia.
Right.
The previous record was 4, which was set last year. So lots of foreign players being incorporated at the highest level.
Right. I would want to know the format on the formation of these teams. Obviously, you've talked about the west side and obviously the east side. So when they actually have to make these teams and establish these all-star for the all-star game, what exactly is the format? How does this really work? And the initial format of how it used to and now how it is has slightly changed. How do you see that? Would you like to put more vision on that?
So in terms of, I think if you're asking me about how the voting works and how the teams are, kind of made on each side.
Right.
Fans account for 50% of the vote to determine the NBA All-Star Game starters.
Right.
While NBA players and the media panel account for 25% each. So it's 50, 25, 25.
Right.
And it's counted the half votes.
Right.
LeBron, let me give you an example. LeBron made it through with 5.9 million votes. Durant made it through by almost 5.6 million votes.
Right.
And hence they are leading their respective conferences. So the fan vote is really the decider. Let's say if you have a tiebreaker, in pulling all these votes together, if you have a tiebreaker, then whoever got the fan vote, kind of make it through. So Curry, again, 5.5 million votes. Bradley Beal, more than 3 million votes, also led their respective position groups fan voting.
Right.
So fan vote served as the tiebreaker for players in the position group with the same group. Now, Luka Doncic won the tiebreaker with the Portland Trailblazer, Damian Lillard. Now, Damian Lillard for the second starting spot in the Western Conference guard group. There was a lot of talk about when the starters were announced. There was a lot of talk about not including Damian Lillard. I'm a huge fan. That guy's a dangerous player when he's on the court. So I'm just happy he's in the reserve right now, and he will get an opportunity to showcase what he really stands for.
Right. What exactly would the score format would be for the All-Star? Obviously, once the match is on, exactly would be the score format for this entire match that's going to be happening on Sunday, March the 7th?
So, man, this takes us back to honoring our great, legendary basketball player who died just prior to COVID-19 pandemic. You know, my man, Kobe Bryant, Black Mamba.
Right.
Uh, he's not. He was within our age group. He was a few years older than you and I. You and I watched him as we were growing in school, in college, and you know we took inspiration from him wherever we were in the world. So certainly, so to honor him, 3 quarters will be the same way they've been. They always are, 12
Right.
minutes each. And whichever team, Eastern versus Western, whichever team lead at the end of third quarter in points, you will add 24 points in order to honor the man. And then the fourth quarter will be chasing up to that number, chasing up to that point. So whoever gets to that mark takes the game. So it will not, the fourth quarter will not be timed.
Interesting. That's a pretty interesting format. So, with regards to your personal favorites, who would you be, looking forward for the win? Would it be the Eastern side, or would it be the Western side?
I think that's a good question. But the thing is, what I'm really happy about more than my own personal choices, what I'm particularly happy about is the fact that Commissioner Silver, who is known for regulation, who's known for bringing in change, the agents change. 3 years ago, he decided to go ahead and bring in some level of interest back into some level of competition back into the AllStar Game,
Right.
because players were not interested. It was almost scripted, and so were the fans. Now, when captains get to pick their team, their game IQ, their managerial skills will also be tested.
Right.
So it really depends on how the teams are drafted at the end. But I mean, LeBron, as we know, he's like that general manager. When he's there, I mean, nobody can kind of outlaw him in terms of team selection.
Right.
So he gets the first pick, soon as Durant goes next, he will know what he's doing next. So he's going to compose a team that will run the front court,
Right.
that will guard the paint, that will have strong defense, strong offense, and they will work as a team.
Right.
I'm rooting for, my personal favorite on this team right now is my man, my homeboy, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Right.
And I really root for that individual for the humble beginnings he had, and the kind of community work that he does in the city and for the community in the city of Milwaukee
Right.
County.
All what
so
we
that's
can do,
how-
all we can do is, Bilal, that we can definitely hope for the best with regards to the best team winning. Well, thank you so very much for being on board with us and discussing the NBA in-depth analysis, not only about the match that actually took place, but obviously, the All-Star game that's actually linked up for the 7th of March. But anyways, that was the NBA side. We'll enter the other side, which is obviously a very tragic situation that Tiger Woods has actually went through. He's actually went through multiple open fractures on a very, very serious car crash that actually took place in California. The sad part is that obviously the accident really, really looked really devastating. His car literally toppled down the cliff, but he managed to survive. As per the recent and the current updates, he is now in the hospital and he is awake, but he does have a lot of multiple fractures in his right leg, and not only his right leg, his ankle has multiple fractures, and not only that, his knee is also injured. So obviously he did have a big impact. Surprisingly, he's fine. He's a warrior. He's definitely going to make a comeback. He already was going through a back injury, which is because of which he was just hosting one golf event that actually took place last weekend. But anyways, we wish him a super, super quick recovery. I'm glad that at least he managed to being a warrior, being a fighter, as a sportsman. He is like a living legend for us all. So we all hope and pray that he comes out with flying colors and get well really, really soon. But anyways, this was the major updates of sport from all across the globe. If you want to reach out to us, you can on our social media handle, which is @Indus News Sports. That would be on Twitter and on Instagram. Till then, take good care of yourself, and bye-bye.